Back, everyone, to the Auburn Blitz. A couple segments left on today's show. Let's go back to the Air McKinley Mortgage Pro Hotline. Welcome in our good friend, Jason Caldwell. Jason, hope you had a great Christmas, buddy.
Yep, yeah, guys. How about y'all?
Now back to the rat race, right? It never stops. And,
it does. Somebody asked me when the portal ends. I was like, it never ends. It just doesn't end. I mean, now you got teams that have, I think, 5 days after a bowl game for guys to go in the portal. So, you're still talking about another 2.5 weeks potentially of where guys can go in the portal. And you might not lose anybody else here after, I think it's tomorrow. It officially ends for a team like Auburn. But, heck, you can still add guys all the way up until probably the middle of January. And so, it's a never-ending process now.
You look at the state of college football, college athletics. We've been talking about this forever with everybody. And then you look at these bowl games. 4 SEC teams playing today. Oklahoma's playing right now against Navy. Does anybody even care? Alabama and Michigan are in a rematch of last year's semifinal game. I don't think anybody really cares about that game. It just did not take long for all of this to seem like the roof is falling in on this sport until somebody gets something changed, Jason.
Yeah, I think I remember being, like I said, I think we talked about it last year. I remember being on the sidelines middle of the first quarter in Nashville a year ago and thinking, why am I even here? And here's the way, I'll watch them 100%. I would rather watch that 1,000 times over on TV today than anything else that anybody could show me. But spending money and going to games and traveling and doing that stuff, there'll be some people that'll be excited, that haven't done it in a while, or at Illinois. I bet they'll have a bunch of people down in Florida for their bowl game. For most people, it's just another football game, and I'll watch it. But yeah, like the pageantry of the bowl games is gone. I saw people roasting Chris Kleiman today for his comment last night, going, people think this is a 9-3 season and or a 9-win season, and it's a disappointment. He said, I don't want to be involved. And hey, that's where we are because the playoffs, 9 wins in a season, that's not going to be good enough. And I remember, people think back fondly to the Pat Dye years, and rightfully so. Nowadays, those seasons will be considered disappointments, even winning the SEC championship. And that's where we are.
Jim Larinaga stepped down at Miami. He's just another one of these coaches that said, look, he didn't think he can get it done anymore in this new era. I think you're going to continue to see this, Jason, not just with older coaches, but with a lot of coaches that feel like they can go somewhere else and not have to deal with this rat race that a lot of these big-time programs are having to deal with right now. We even talked about Ryan Day going into the playoffs. Everybody said, look, if he happened to lose Tennessee, there's a lot of people that wanted him fired from Ohio State, and he got his team in the playoffs. I don't know what the answer is to any of this.
Well, I think, and Jim Larinaga is 75 years old. He's earned the right to do what he wants to do. That's also a guy who rode the coattails of a portal, everybody on his entire roster to a Final Four a couple years ago.
Right.
Now they're 4-8, and all that money is going to Miami football. They're not very good. And you go, well, I don't like this anymore. Well, you liked it a couple years ago. And so, and that's part of this. It's changed. Like I said, Nick Saban, the guy deserved to go out and do what he wanted to do. But all of a sudden, you're not getting every great player. And so now it's changed. And so, yeah, I don't like it. But I think some of that is, I'm not going to dominate the sport like I used to, so I'm leaving. I think that's some of that too. And so, but it's not for the better. But you sign up for it or you don't. And he knew the situation before this season ever started. And now that they're 4-8, you go, I don't want to do this anymore. Okay, well that's your choice.
Yeah, I think it's more for me about the bigger picture, though, Jason. I think, yeah, you're right. I think some of those guys, you can definitely look at that and say, I don't have the advantages I maybe did at one point in time, but and now with where they are at their age, they can step aside because they've had a big, long career. It's the moving forward for the younger coaches and the things that they're having to deal with.
I think on the field, on the court, I think it has made for better parity in the sport, but I don't think it has made the sport better. I think those two things can both be true. I think there's more parity now in college football and college athletics than there's ever been. but I don't think that makes it a better sport.
It's a good point. I definitely can see both sides of that coin. Jason, before we let you go, let's talk about Auburn basketball. I got Monmouth coming up on Monday, and then they open up SEC play next Saturday against Missouri. I know you just left being with Coach Pearl. Kind of talk about this basketball team. What do they got to do to get to number one, man?
Yeah, I think they'd be fine if that didn't happen for a while. You just keep that chip on your shoulder, and hey, it's what it is. Half the people that vote in these things don't even pay attention, don't watch college basketball. They just look at somebody's record and go, well, that team's undefeated. Well, they're number one. And hey, it's worked that way forever. People that vote in these things a lot of times don't pay attention, and so that's part of the poll itself. But, it's funny, though. We just talked about all these things going on. This Auburn basketball team that you know how many guys that are on this roster that were recruited here and have been here their entire careers? Jason Caldwell.
I was going to say two.
The two freshmen. That's it.
Two. Yeah.
Everybody else is a transfer. So for all the things that we just talked about, it's one of the things that has made this Auburn basketball team pretty good because of the guys they've been able to bring in as transfers. So it gives and it takes, and you enjoy it, but it's no different for Auburn basketball than it is for any other things we've been talking about.
Right. You adapt with the times and you adapt with change. And I guess the big question, and we don't have enough time to dive into it, maybe next week, Jason, some of the things that could be changed that could help with this, like maybe only one portal window instead of two portal windows, and different things that maybe could be brought up that could change the whole landscape of this thing, maybe start reeling it in a little bit.
Correct. I think at some point, and I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but at some point, you're going to have to go, hey, at a minimum, you got to give somebody a couple of years. You got to be able to count on somebody being there for a couple of years to start to have at least an idea of what a roster is going to look like from year to year. Right now, that is not the case, and it makes it almost an impossibility.
Good stuff, Jason. Hey, man, we really appreciate it, buddy. Again, hope you have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll talk to you next week, okay?
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Jason Caldwell with Auburn Undercover. We're going to go ahead and take our